What's going on, guys? Platinum Cards in the house, and today I'm going to be coming to you with my virus deck. That's right, I feel like this deck is really underrated. I've been testing it extensively the last couple days, and I feel like it catches most people off guard and they don't know what to do as a result. So let's go ahead and take a look at these cards. So first of all, I'm going to be running 2 copies of Darkest Diablos, Lord of the Lair. Now this card is really good. I could see this being run at 3, but in my experience, every time I run 3, it sometimes ends up being like a brick in my hand. So that's why I'm running 2 personally. Its effect is your opponent cannot tribute this card on the field, so it can't be kaju'd, and cannot target it with card effects, so that's great as well. You can only use 1 effects of the Darkest Diablos, Lord of the Lair once per turn. If a dark monster you control is tributed, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your graveyard if it was tributed, or hand even if not. So that card, that effect is the one that we're going to be taking advantage of the most, because most of the effects in this deck, whether it be the trap card virus effects or a lot of the monster effects, involve tributing. So it's very easy to special summon this once you tribute something on the field. And plus you can recycle it from the graveyard as well. And secondly, you can tribute 1 dark monster. Your opponent places 1 card from their hand on either top or bottom of their deck. That effect I don't use too much, but I could definitely see that coming in handy. So let's look at what we got next. Next, I'm running 3 copies of Arima, the Wicked Warden. Now this is super dope because it lets me search the field spell in this deck, as well as it has a secondary effect. So its effect is you can discard this card, add 1 Lair of Darkness from your deck to your hand. You can tribute 1 dark monster, draw 1 card, or if you tributed a dark monster other than this card to activate this effect, you can add 1 dark monster with 2,000 or more defense from your deck to your hand instead. You can only use this effect once per turn. So it has so many searching abilities, so much potential. You can use it to search your boss monster. There's a couple other monsters that technically you can search. Plus, since you're tributing, you can also, if this is in your hand or graveyard, special summon this. So it just works really well. You can discard this from your hand to add Lair of Darkness, which is the best field spell that you need for this deck, and it works. It has the ability to break this deck. So I think that me personally having 3 field spells, 3 of these, and then a terraforming in this deck just allows me to search and add it in so many different ways, and I think that's really dope. Next, I'm running 2 copies of Lilith, Lady of Lament. Now, some people like to run Trap Trick as well. I don't like to run Trap Trick just because it banishes 1 in order to search 1. This itself, I think, works a lot better, especially with the boss monster. Its effect is, if this is normal summoned, its original attack becomes 1,000, which actually works great with Crush Card Virus. And quick effect, you can tribute 1 dark monster, which again, tributing will let me summon the boss monster. Reveal 3 normal traps from your deck. Your opponent randomly chooses 1 for you to set to your field. You can shuffle the rest back into your deck. You can only use each effect of this card once per turn. Now, I can also see this being run at 3. I just don't happen to have a 3rd copy. So I've been running this at 2, and I think it's been working pretty decently in my opinion. This is definitely something that needs to be looked at for this deck. Next, I'm running 3 copies of Danger Bigfoot. That's right, the Dangers work really well in this deck because most of the time you have to, if you normal summon something, you're going to tribute it right away. And so you want to make sure that you're able to special summon as much as possible. So this card's effect, if you didn't already know it, is you can reveal this card in your hand. Your opponent randomly chooses 1 card in your entire hand, then you discard the chosen card. Then if the discarded card was not Danger Bigfoot, special summon Danger Bigfoot from your hand, and if you do, draw 1 card. If this card is discarded, you can target 1 face-up card your opponent controls, destroy it. You can only use each effect of Danger Bigfoot once per turn. So this works really well going second. I know the trap cards and the virus cards work really well going first, and then to counteract that and the weaknesses of that, I put in a danger package just to make sure that I can special summon monsters, take advantage of my trap cards as well, and on top of that, I have the ability to go second and not just die, right? So this is a great package. And then next, I'm running 3 copies of Danger Thunderbird. Danger Thunderbird has a similar effect to Danger Bigfoot, but it is slightly different. So, like all the Danger cards, you can reveal this card in your hand. Your opponent randomly chooses 1 card from your entire hand. Then you discard the chosen card. Then, if the discarded card was not Danger Thunderbird, special summon 1 Danger Thunderbird from your hand. And if you do, draw 1 card. If this card is discarded, you can set 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it. You can only use the effect of Danger Thunderbird once per turn. So, that also works really well, just as removal. Next, I run 2 copies of Nessie. Nessie is super dope because just like the rest, it has that reveal and discard. And then if the discarded card was not Danger Nessie, special summon 1 Danger Nessie from your hand. If you do, draw 1 card. If this card is discarded, you can add 1 Danger card from your deck to your hand, except Danger Nessie. So I like this card because it's just, either way, if it's summoned, that's cool. If it's not summoned, then you have the ability to directly add to your hand another Danger, which can pop off even more combos. Next, I'm running a single copy of Danger Jackalope. I would also recommend running one copy of Danger Suki Nocha, the snake one. I'm sorry, I'm really bad with pronunciations, but it's not in the budget right now, so that's why I don't have that. But Jackalope's effect is just like the rest, but if it's discarded, you can special summon a Danger straight from your deck. Now this card is limited because that effect kind of is broken, but it's definitely worth running at one. Next are the non-danger cards. I like to run 2 copies of Fallen of Albaz. This surprisingly works really, really well in the deck. If this card is normal special summon, except during the damage step, you can discard 1 card, fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters on either field as fusion material. So that works really well, and especially the discarding effect. If you have any of the danger cards in your hand and you discard any of the dangers, you can take advantage of their effects once they're discarded. So I think Fallen of Albaz plus being able to summon the fusion monsters and using your opponent's monsters to summon the fusion monsters, that works really well. Next, I run a single copy of Dino Wrestler Pankratops. Pankratops works really well because its effect is if your opponent controls more monsters than you, you can special summon it. Plus, you contribute itself, any dinosaur monster, but in this case, you're going to be attributing itself in order to destroy one. Is a card? Yeah, 1 card. It's not just monster. Target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it. So once it's distributed, you can also take advantage of your boss monster. You can take advantage of your field spell technically, and you can also get rid of one of your opponent's cards. So that's also super dope. And then next, we're going to be moving on to the spell cards. So for the spell cards, for sure you need to run 3 copies of Lair of Darkness. Lair of Darkness is super dope because this effect is all face-up monsters on the field become dark. Once per turn, if you attribute a monster you control to activate a card effect, you contribute 1 dark monster your opponent controls, even though you do not control it. So the second effect that right there is really, really dope because you can start attributing your opponent's monsters in order to take advantage of your effects, your trap card virus effects. And then secondly, once per turn during the end phase, special summon as many tokens, Fiend, Dark, level 3s, 1000 attack, 1000 defense, as possible to the turn player's field in defense position up to the number of monsters attributed this turn while this card was face up. So it also has the ability to give you or your opponent tokens, and then you can pop off other plays with the tokens if you like. Next, I am for sure going to be running Terraforming. You have to be able to search Lair of Darkness in as many ways as possible. And then I like to run 3 copies of Dark World Dealings. Dark World Dealings, pretty self-explanatory. Each player draws 1 card, then each player discards 1 card. It works really well with all the dangers. Plus, it's a really good card to just draw extra cards and go into some cards that you might need. And then after that, some more draw power in this deck. I like to run 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. Allure of Darkness lets you draw 2 cards and banish 1 dark monster from your hand. Or if you do not have any in your hand, you can send your entire hand to the graveyard. Now, pretty much all the monsters I have are dark monsters, except for Pankratops. Everything I have is dark. So most of the time, you can pop this off without any problems. And lastly, for the trap cards, I like to run 3 copies of OG Crush Card Virus. This is a must-have. Its effect is you contribute 1 dark monster with 1000 or less attack. Your opponent takes no damage until the end of the next turn after this card resolves. Also, you look at your opponent's hand and all monsters they control, and if you do, destroy the monsters among them with 1500 or more attack. Then your opponent can destroy up to 3 monsters with 1500 or more attack in their deck. So this is really, really good because it has the ability to just wipe your opponent entirely. And next, I like to run 3 copies of Deck Devastation Virus. Its effect is tribute 1 dark monster with attack of 2000 points or more on your side of the field. Check all monsters your opponent controls on your opponent's side of the field in their hand and all cards he/she draws until the end of your opponent's next 3 turns. Destroy all monsters with 1500 or less attack. The way modern Yu-Gi-Oh works is a lot of monsters that you use to go into combos will have weaker attacks, and then they'll use those weaker attack monsters to summon stronger monsters from like the extra deck or whatever. So I think this is a must-have in this deck because it has the ability to just dump your opponent's entire hand. All right, next I have 2 copies of Eradicator Epidemic Virus. Its effect is you contribute 1 dark monster with 2500 or more attack, then declare 1 type of card, spell, or trap. Look at your opponent's hand, all spells, traps they control, and all cards they draw until the end of their 3rd turn after this card's activation. Destroy all cards of that type. So basically, you tribute a monster with 2500 or more attack, and if you have your field spell in the field, you can basically tribute your opponent's monsters. So it's a good way to get rid of some of their boss monsters. And then you can declare spell or trap. Most of the time you're going to be declaring spell because a lot of decks these days don't use traps. And you're going to just be getting rid of their spell cards. So if you have something like Deck Devastation Virus as well as Eradicator Epidemic Virus, they're pretty much locked out for 3 turns, if you think about that. So you can lazily just go for the W. And then next, I'm running 2 copies of Full Force Virus. Its effect is you contribute 1 dark monster with 2,000 or more defense. Look at your opponent's hand, all monsters they control, and all cards they draw until the end of the 3rd turn after this card's activation. Destroy all monsters with 1,500 or less defense. Now, this card also works really well. It's just, I can only have 3 of these, right? And I can only have 3 of Crush Card Virus. So this is just another card that works, I think, pretty decently in order to get rid of my opponent's monsters. And then lastly, for the trap cards, I like to run 1 copy of Grinning Grey Virus. Now, just letting you know, I do sometimes experiment with the ratios of the trap cards in this deck. Sometimes I'll switch this to 2, sometimes I'll put this to 2, or even 3. It just depends. And that's up to you guys. If you like certain ratios of certain trap cards, then you can definitely try that out. I definitely recommend it. But this card is really, really good. Tribute 1 dark monster with 3,000 or less attack. Your opponent destroys 1 card of their choice in their hand or deck for every 500 attack that monster had on the field. If you tribute a monster with 2,000 or more attack to activate this card, look at all cards your opponent draws until the end of the 3rd turn after this card's activation. Destroy all monsters among them. Cards destroyed and sent to the graveyard and by this card's effect cannot activate their own effects same turn. So I think this card is super dope, but to make use of it, you need to have like you or your opponent, because you can technically tribute your opponent's monsters. They need to have like a really strong monster, so that's something that needs to be considered. And then for the extra deck, I'm experimenting with a couple cards. This is definitely something that can be changed. So I like to run a lot of the Albaz cards. Now I just got the structure deck, so a lot of these are straight from the structure deck. Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. It takes an Fallen of Albaz plus Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster, which is pretty dope because it lets you get rid of your opponent's field, essentially. And I'm also running Lubellion, the Searing Dragon, 1 dark monster plus Fallen of Albaz. The field spell makes everything dark, so you can essentially take anything from your opponent. Titan Clan, the Ash Dragon, Fallen of Albaz plus a monster 2,500 or more attack. Let's be honest, your opponent probably will have that. Brigade, the Glory Dragon, takes Fallen of Albaz plus level 8 or higher monster. Most of the time your opponent will have that as well. And then lastly, I run Albinion, the Branded Dragon, Fallen of Albaz plus 1 light monster. Now this doesn't come in as clutch anymore because your field spell makes everything dark. But if you don't have the field spell on the field, it's easy to just get rid of your opponent's monsters. Light is also an archetype that's going to come, it's probably one of the most popular ones that you're going to come against. So it's definitely worth having. Next, I do run a couple rank 8s or level 8s in the Danger Thunderbird and Danger Bigfoot. So you could definitely go and run the number 100 package. You can go to number 97, then special summon number 100 using number 38 as material. Or if you're going first and you want to negate effects, spell effects, you can flip it around and you can summon number 38 using number 100 as material. Let's be honest, we're going to be OTKing here. Next, because you do have the potential to summon a lot of different types of monsters, I do like to run links. If you're going to run links, you kind of have to be careful that most of them don't say no tokens, because a lot of times you'll have tokens. So I like to run Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Unicorn. After that, I like to run Salamangreat Almirage. I was just looking this up. I have like 8 of these, so I was like, let's try this out. 1 normal summon monster with 1,000 or less attack. So it's very specific as to how it can be summoned. Most of the time, it's going to be with Lilith, let's be honest. Lilith, Lady of Lament. But its effect is super dope and it's hard to ignore. Quick effect, you can tribute this card, so the tributing will pop up a bunch of other combos. Then you can target 1 monster you control. It cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects this turn. When a normal summon monster you control is destroyed by battle and this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. So that has the potential to be good. I don't think it's as good as it can be because you can summon it with, 2 of your cards technically, and you honestly want to tribute those 2 cards to search your viruses anyway. So this is something that can be taken out pretty easily. But I just thought it'd be dope to try out its effect here. And then since you're summoning a bunch of level 3 tokens, you can run some rank 3 monsters as well. I'm running number 75, that's for sure. This is not number. This is Phantom Knights of Break Sword has potential. And then after that, There are a couple of level 7 cards, Endanger Nessie, and I believe Pankratops is also a level 7. So you're not going to get them out too much, but I do keep them in here just in case. So I run Meta Phantom Beast Dracossack, and that's just to spam out a bunch of tokens, and then we can pop off other combos with the tokens. And then after that, tokens are level 3, by the way. So then after that, you can go into any of these you like. And then after that, I also like to run a copy of number 11, Big Eye. And that's just to take my opponent's monsters. And that I just thought was interesting. But anyways, guys, thank you for sitting through my virus deck build. If you like what you see, please like, comment, and subscribe. And oh my goodness, look at the time.
It's time to